Apprentices. Okay, we can find a really cool.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I was having some login issues. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Now you're muted.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
I would
Yes.
love it if everybody said hello just so I could hear them. Go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
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 Well, I can't hear anybody. That kind of sucks. Let me try to log back out and log back in. I'll be right back.
Basketball.
CPR?
No.
That's really odd. I cannot hear anybody in here. I'm having an issue trying to get my volume here. I can't hear anybody talking. Right. Say hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hello.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Can I try to take your video?
I'm gonna
Take your
turn my
camera off.
video off, right? Okay. I'm over here because when I sit over there, the light's behind me and you can't see me very well.
Why is this doing this to you? Select microphone, MacBook Pro microphone. That's the microphone you want.
Right.
Test speaker.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Looks like they said they could hear you
Right.
too.
I just heard it. Perfect. Thank you.
Here, let me go downstairs.
I'm very fine, please.
Okay.
I'm all good. All right. Hi, everybody. Holy moly. What a nice start to all this. All right. And you guys can hear me now and I can hear you?
Yes.
Ah, perfect. There we go, Ken. Hey, let me show my name up here. Let's see if it lets me change my name. I had password issues. So Stacy had her Friday game moved to tonight. Oops. And so she asked if I could step in and go through the rules with you, those rules quizzes that you guys took last week, and then as well as go over the rules 6 and 10 with you tonight. Just a little bit about me. How many meetings have you guys had so far together? First one, second one?
This is third Zoom meeting.
Third Zoom meeting? Oh, okay, right. Well, this is all new to us like everybody else in this world right now. You know, normally we're sitting in a gym going through all this kind of fun stuff, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. And like I said, anyway, Stacy's out at a basketball game. She asked if I could run the class tonight. So I said, sure, why not? Just real quick about me. My name is Mike Lloyd. I've been an official now for over 30 years. I started off in Japan for 4 years, then Maryland for 6 years, and then moved out to Washington in 1999 and been officiating out here ever since. I've done boys and girls high school for varsity for over 30 years. I was a women's college official for many years, even got as high as D1 when I was on the East Coast. Since I moved out here to Washington, I've worked quite a number of state tournaments and championship games. I worked the 2018 4A girls championship game. And then last year in Spokane, I got to work the 1B championship game before they shut everything down. So thank gosh that Governor Inslee likes basketball, because at least he let us finish out the state tournaments before he chopped the clock. So that was all good. I'm also on the state RTO committee, one of the rules interpreters in the states with the WOA. Rules knowledge has been one of the things that's been my forte, that's helped me be as successful as I am. There's a huge science to knowing and understanding the rules. And then there's the art of applying them to the game you're working tonight. You know, that's the trickery that comes with officiating, and the trick is being able to do both. But to me, rule knowledge is number one. And until rule knowledge gives you confidence out there, when those yahoos in the stands are screaming, hollering, he was moving, when you have that block charge, and you know, you're learning that, hey, this guy can be moving as long as he establishes the legal guarding position, he can move to maintain it. So rule knowledge gives you confidence when you're on the court. It gives me a ton of confidence, because I know that when I took my first referee test, it was a 20 question yes or no test. I thought I aced the thing. I missed 15 out of 20 questions. All those guys in the stands, they're all going to miss 15 out of 20 questions. What? A guy can shoot an air ball and catch his own try? Really? So anyway, I'm a big promoter of rule knowledge, and Stacy knows that. So she asked if I could take over tonight and talk a little bit with you guys about the rules. Cool beans? Perfect. So let me pull up. So you guys did some tests last week, correct? Okay. So let me find her tests. Perfect. And this is going to take some, this is going to require a little bit of interaction with you guys. Okay. So, pipe up if I ask. So on quiz number 3, the 2 most missed questions, and what I'm going to do is for each of these quizzes, I'll go over the 2 most missed questions. And then if you have any questions about them, about other questions on that test, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Okay. Sound good? All right. So whoops, where'd that go? All right, so in number 3 on rules quiz 3, which is all about the players, substitutes, and the uniforms, the most missed questions were number 7. Team A is wearing a royal blue uniforms. A1 has navy blue undershirt on. Is the undershirt illegal? And only two of the 7 respondents got that one correct, which is the undershirt is legal. And the reason why is when you look at the rule, it is because it is a similar color. And as long as the word blue is in that color, it's a similar color. Any questions about that guy?
Yeah, so a similar color, even for
Hold on. I can hardly hear you. Let me see if I can increase my volume. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. There we go. Now I can hear you.
So even that's the opposite team though. I thought it had to be the similar color to the same team.
No, I think maybe you're misreading the question. So team A is wearing royal blue uniforms. A1, he's a member of team A, so he's wearing a royal blue uniform. So his undershirt needs to be a similar color to his game jersey.
Right, but didn't it say the opposite? The other team had
No.
No, this is like rule 3.5. Let me pull it up real quick. By the way, did you guys bring this with you to this meeting? This or this? Do you guys
Yeah.
have those available? Beautiful.
So Mike, what I'm asking is, what was the question? I don't have a copy.
The question is, Team A is wearing royal blue uniforms. A1, who's a member of Team A, has a navy blue undershirt on. Is the undershirt legal? And the answer is yes, it's legal because it's a color similar to the color of their uniform jersey.
I got it. You just answered. I read the question wrong.
Oh, perfect. All right, and then the other one is question number 9, and it was a player is considered bench personnel after the player has been notified of her 5th foul. And only 2 people got that one correct. Who can tell me what the correct answer is? When is a player considered bench personnel? And this question is kind of tricky. It should have been like A1 has just received their 5th foul. When is A1 considered bench personnel?
I don't know.
Anybody have an answer for me?
When the replacement reports in?
Negative. It is when the head coach is notified of the player's fifth foul. So we have a protocol that we use when we're notified by the table that a player has just received their fifth foul. Let me go to 3-3. There we go. So when a player's received their fifth foul, the procedure is the table is going to tell us it's the fifth foul. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to notify the head coach, coach, that's 5 fouls on number 24. When you tell the coach, coach, that's 5 fouls on number 24, 24 is now considered bench personnel. You then turn and go to the clock and you say, give me a horn and start the 15-second replacement time. They have 15 seconds to replace that. They don't want the player fouled out to turn into a timeout for a team. They want to get a substitute up there. And after 15 seconds, they hit the end of the period horn, the end of the replacement time horn. And if that sub isn't up there, it's actually a technical foul on the head coach. But the key on that question is that the player becomes bench personnel when the coach is notified, coach, that's 5 fouls on 24. So if after you say, coach, that's 5 fouls on 24, 24 walks by you and says, that was a bullshit foul call, ref. When you give 24 the technical foul, it is also an indirect on the head coach because that player is now considered bench personnel. So you notify the coach, you start the time, you notify the player that that's theirs fifth. And if you need to, certainly make your crew aware, guys, we have 5 fouls on 24. That way we don't start administering free throws or doing something else while we're trying to get that replacement. And they always have to replace that player before we grant any timeout or anything like that. We always have to get the substitute in first before we do anything else. Any questions about that?
Yes, so what would there be any exception to that? What if that person that fouled out was their last player and they only have 4 players left on the floor?
Oh, still same thing. You're still telling the coach that that's the player's fifth foul, but if they don't have any substitutes, then we just play 4 on 5.
Gotcha.
Remember, how many players can a team play with? Who knows that answer?
What do you mean play with? Like finish a game or start a game?
Yeah, finish a game. Start. Well, we all know 5, because you guys all got that answer right. We all know they have to have 5 players to start the game, but how many can they finish the game with?
1.
Is there any proviso?
Isn't it like if you think they still have a chance to win?
Absolutely right. So they can finish with 1, but you have to feel like they have a chance to come in. The most I've ever gotten down to in 30 plus years is 3. Just so you know. All right. Perfect. Any other questions about quiz 3?
I had a question about question 3.
Okay.
This is the one that's got a complicated long thing about coming in after committing their 3rd foul. I got it wrong. I just want to make sure what part of this was not correct.
Oh, okay. Cool beans. Right. So A4 is substituted for by A6 after committing her 3rd foul. After B4 makes her first foul shot, the coach at Team B asks for a timeout. After the timeout concludes, A4 reports to the score table while B4 is shooting her 2nd free throw. B4 makes the free throw and the timer sounds the horn for A4 to enter the game. The official beckons A4 into the game. Is this ruling correct? Well, what's funny is everybody got that one right because it's no. What does a substitute have to do once they leave the court? What's the main rule governing when they can come back in?
Essentially another dead ball.
Negative.
I'm 0 for 3.
The clock has to run.
We have to have the clock properly started.
Okay.
Exactly. It has to run. It can just be a tick. It could be boop, boop. But right, the clock has to run before that substitute can come in.
But then when do you beckon him or her in on the dead ball, not when the clock's running, correct?
Oh, absolutely correct. They get to come in on the
Yeah.
next dead ball. But
Okay.
like as in this scenario, the ball actually became live at some point because the girl shot the free throw and scored the goal. So, you know, the ball's been dead, been live. Now it's dead again. Now we've had a timeout. So even though we've had all that kind of stuff going on, we still haven't had the clocks be properly started. So that's why that play was illegal. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Perfect. Any other questions about Rule 3? Beautiful. Okay, this one is number 5. That's funny. This one doesn't have. Oh, that's too funny. This one didn't have the. Oh, here they are. Here they are. All right, so let's see. You guys did really good on this one. That's why it didn't give me anything on it. You guys kicked butt on number 5. The most that was missed on any one question. Wow. A lot of these you guys got 100% on. Okay, so here's 2. Each team, and it's question 15. It is each team is allowed only one 60-second timeout in the extra period. And is that true or false? Might as well go for 4.
Oh, then I'd say it's false.
That is correct. It is false. And it's because any timeout they have left over from regulation also carries into overtime. Now you're going to work leagues and rec games and stuff like that where they're going to say, no, they only get one timeout, that's part of the league. But if you're doing a high school game or a school game, they get whatever timeouts they had left over plus an extra 60-second timeout. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's per extra period, right?
Correct. So if they don't use that timeout in the first overtime, then and they have a second overtime, it carries over to that second overtime, and now they have 2 fulls.
Gotcha.
Or however many they had. And then the other one that had a couple missed. Where is that guy? 7. All right, number 7. All right, the scorer mistakenly credits a field goal by A1 to B1 and Team B during the second quarter. The regulation game ends with the score tied 61-61. Oh, this is actually like a state test too. During the first dead ball after the overtime has started, the scorer realizes his mistake and advises the referee. The referee awards 2 points to Team A, subtracts 2 points from Team B, and declares Team A the winner 63-59. Is this ruling correct? And only, well, 2 of the 6 people who responded got it wrong, but that was like this. You guys did great on this one. Who can tell me whether the ruling was correct or not that we're gonna change the score and call the game over?
Nah, you can't do that.
Why?
Well, first of all, you can't take, I mean, you're talking about 2 minutes, taking too much time to realize your mistake. There's a limit there. I mean, you're talking, how much time did you say passed by before they,
It just says the overtime started, but one of the things about this is this is a scorebook mistake as versus a correctable error. When can we fix scorebook mistakes?
I thought that was at the end of the game.
Well, but when can you fix scorebook mistakes?
Immediately?
Anytime during the game until the final score has been approved. You can always correct a scorebook error. But
Even if,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, even if the end of regulation, you don't catch that score and you start a new period.
You start the
That's what-
overtime.
Yeah, that's what confused me. I would have thought, no way, that's crazy. But
Right, it's crazy, but that's why you have to look up the rule. So that's where you find out that, oh, we can correct, you look in rule 2 about the scorebook and about how you can correct a bookkeeping error at any time until the final score has been approved. And then you also look in rule 5 that says, once you start overtime, you're gonna finish overtime. You've correct the book, you still correct it, you show the correct score in there now, you fix it, but you continue the overtime because you started the overtime.
Okay, so
If you catch the error before you start overtime, then you correct the score, game's over, off you trot off the court. But once you start overtime, you still correct the bookkeeping error because the final score hasn't been approved yet, and you continue with the rest of overtime.
I got all that, but didn't the question say they were declared the victor?
yeah,
Correct. So the answer to it was no, the official got it wrong.
well, okay, back to what you were saying though. So, okay, what if there's only like 2 seconds left and you make that decision? You say you have to finish the game, so
You
you're
still
putting,
finish the game.
but you're putting a team in a predicament by making, that's kind of,
That's why you don't want to have these kinds of things happen, but you have to be ready if they do. And by rule, you want to handle these situations by rule, because let's say you go ahead and fix that score and declare the other team the winner. What do you think's going to happen?
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of problems.
Right, you're going to have a protest because the other team's going to say, hey, the game shouldn't have been forfeited. We needed to finish that overtime, and they'd be right. So that's why you want to make sure you handle these kinds of situations by what the rule book says. And that's where you have to get in and get into rule 5. And this one's, I think, a rule 5.7. Rule 5.7.4 is once the ball becomes live in the extra period, it will be played even though a correction in the fourth quarter score is made.
Okay, so in
So
other
Mike,
words, it's a good idea to keep these books with us at every game.
Well, it's a good idea to make sure, during timeouts and especially end of game, hey, you got in the book what matches what's up on the scoreboard. When the game's over with, we always kind of make eye contact with the scorekeepers, get a thumbs up like, hey, we're good, and off we run.
Okay.
Does that
I know
make sense?
these scenarios are unlikely, Mike, but imagine a situation where it's the fourth quarter and there's a timeout and there's a minute to go and the score's tied and the scorer calls you over and said, hey, the score's not really tied. Back in the first quarter, we have an error. How do you confirm that? I mean, what you can't confirm. It's a high school game. You can't. There's no video necessarily.
Oh,
What do
absolutely
you
right.
just
So
say? What do you do at that point?
you go have the scorekeeper show you what their error was. Do I sometimes get the visiting scorebook involved? Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure we're kind of on the same page, but in the end, the home book is the official book. So if they say, hey, I screwed up and messed up the
All right.
score from the second period, you go ahead and correct it. You let the teams know, hey, by the way, the scorekeeper had an error and this is what the real score is and this is where we're going to. And then, you know, if the team that got screwed by the play wants to protest, they can protest. They can take it to the WIAA and, you know, we'll let them deal with it. But from our perspective, if the home book says we have a problem and you have no reason to not doubt them, you know, like it's some seventh, you know, it's some sixth grade kid working the book and you've got an adult working the visitor book, I might scrutinize a little bit more, you know what I mean? But otherwise, if it's an adult, hey, I got to go with what the home book says because that's what the rules say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got two questions.
Yes.
One is, once in this scenario that's described in this, the overtime continues and the score would be 63-59, right?
Right. You would fix the score, whatever
You
the
fix the
score
score.
should be, you fix the score and then you just continue with the overtime.
Okay, that's interesting. And then you're saying if overtime had not started, then and the game ends with one team the teams thinking that they were tied, you would then tell both coaches, no, by the way, because the home scorer says it's 63-59, you
Mhm.
win, we're not playing anymore.
Correct. We're done.
Okay.
Right. So hopefully that's where, you know, that's where it's kind of important to have a visitor scorekeeper who also doesn't let it go that far too.
Right.
Right. You know, that's part of their job. But in the end, we always, it's the home book is what we go by, not what's up on the scoreboard or anything like that. We go with what the home book has.
Cool.
Beautiful. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions about quiz 5? Number 9, all these violations. There was only one that was missed really bad. And what it was question 16. It was a throw-in pass that lodges against the ring and the backboard is a violation that awards the ball to the team that has the alternating possession arrow. Who wants to give that one a shot?
Well, now that you just read it, in my mind, when I took the quiz, I was thinking shot got wedged, but you said pass. So now I'm confused.
Throw-in pass. That's actually even more important. It's not just a pass,
Oh.
it's a throw-in pass.
Well, actually, isn't it the other team's ball because they're the team that they weren't the team that committed it?
Correct. That's why it's the other team's ball. It's not an AP situation because this is a throw-in. It's not a try, or even if a pass got lodged in there. If somebody's passing the ball and it's just a real crappy pass and it gets lodged in there, it's still a held ball situation. But because this is a throw-in pass and the player's out of bounds, it's a violation if this happens. It's a violation if they throw the ball through the basket. If it happens to go through the basket, that's a violation as well. So if it was a pass or a shot, then right, we go to the AP arrow. But if it was a throw-in, now that's just a boop violation. You can point up to the ring where everybody sees the ball stock up there, right? And you just give it to the other team. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, that's a tricky one just because it's a throw and pass. It's also tricky because he threw the word violation and AP throw in the same sentence. So that darn Steve, he's a little trickster. Let's see. And then there's this question here that was missed by 50%. A1 has one free throw remaining before A1 releases the shot. B5 breaks the vertical plane of the lane line, but does not contact the floor until the shot is released. Officials allow play to continue. Was B5's action a violation?
Yes.
Yes.
It has to hit the rim.
No, they're talking about B5. He's the defender, so he's coming in to do that whole box out thing. You know, you got to box out the shooter, isn't that what coaches say? And his foot breaks the vertical plane of the lane line, but doesn't touch in that little semicircle, and doesn't contact it. Right, doesn't contact the floor until the shot is released. Well, even then, that's still bad. No, this is a total violation. Not only did he break the plane of the free throw line before the ball hit the rim, but it's also, even once he touches it, it's also a violation. So the person who's boxing out the free throw shooter can't break the free throw line plane, you know, pretend it goes all the way up to the ceiling. He can't even break that plane until the ball hits the rim. You know, he can go in on the release, he can go into the lane on the release, but he can't enter that semicircle or break the plane of the semicircle until the free throw hits the rim. Do I have everybody perfectly confused? Or does that make sense?
You're talking about from outside in. You can't go outside in, but if you're in your position along the lane, you could go in once the ball is released.
Right.
But if you're outside the circle.
Well, right, but you can go into the lane when the ball's released, but that person who's going to box out the free throw shooter, right? Usually there's one defender. They can't break the of the semicircle where the free throw shooter's shooting. They can't enter that area until the ball hits the rim.
Now,
Okay,
do they
gotcha.
do that for safety issues for the shooter?
What's that?
Do they do that for safety
Yes.
issues for the shooter?
Protect the shooter. And the big thing is on it is you could actually have the violation where they step in and then knock the free throw shooter to the ground, and you could have both the violation and the foul, where you would penalize, you know, you'd penalize the violation. Let's say it's the last free throw of 2 shots. You would penalize the violation, clear everybody out. The player would get to shoot his free throw over. And then because of the foul, you'd penalize the foul, and it'd either be out of bounds at the end line, or, you know, if they're in the bonus, guess what? He gets to shoot some more free throws. So they really want us to protect the free throw shooter out there because they're vulnerable. They're just they're shooting the ball with, you know, nobody else there. So we want to make sure we protect the free throw shooter. And if I've got some players who are pushing the envelope on free throws, I'll make sure I address it and say, hey, remember, you can't break that lane line until the ball hits the rim. And most of them say, thanks, ref, but others will like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay, when they do it again, you blow the violation. You know, you try to help a kid out, but, you know, they want to, you know, do that. So it's all good. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions about that particular rule? Rule 9 is a big one. I mean, we got all our violations in there.
Question 3 I got wrong too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was actually the next one that came up. We missed 50% on it.
Yeah.
So before A1 releases the second of 2 free throws, B5 has both feet touching the free throw lane line. Free throw lane. After the release of the shot, but before the ball hits the ring, A2, who was not on the lane prior to the shot, breaks the plane of the 3-point line trying to rebound the ball. Like what you see on the NBA, right? The ball's released and in comes somebody from the outside. The official had signaled the delayed dead ball against Team B, but dropped the signal once the try was successful and allowed play to continue. Is this ruling correct? And you said you missed it?
Yeah, I said it was correct.
Right. What made you think it was correct?
Because I was interpreting it the same way as people going in the lane, where you signal, okay, they made it, but then if it's a made shot, it doesn't matter.
Right. But the problem with this play is we also had a violation by the shooting team. And it wasn't the violation where B1 on the lane
Oh,
steps in first, and then A1 steps in because they're both on the lane. So we only penalize the one on the lane, the first one that happens. But this is one person on the lane and one person coming in from the outside. So that's a double violation. We're going to wipe off the basket and go to the AP arrow.
got it. That makes sense. I didn't realize they were both
Right.
from other teams.
Yeah. So the big thing is to remember people on the lane are on one set of rules, and then the free throw shooter and the people on the outside are on a different set of rules when it comes to free throws. So it's very important to know Rule 8 and Rule 9 when it comes to these free throw things, because we shoot a lot of free throws. So it's very important to know what can happen and what can't.
What if say on this one, what if your partner is signaling one thing and you have the violation in the lane? How do you, is there only one person calling lane violations, or is it can you team up that way, and how do you communicate
Well,
that?
in this play, it would actually be two officials involved, because the lead official is never involved with people who are on the outside. So you could certainly have two whistles. And what's going to happen in this situation is there's going to have to be communication between those two officials, because the one's going to say, hey, I've got a violation on the defense, and I'm going to say I've got a violation on the offense. And so we're going to go held ball. So there would have to be good communication on that situation. But as the person who's probably calling the second violation of the person breaking the 3-point line, you would probably see your partner have his arm out for the delayed violation. So you know he has a violation on the defense. And when I see the violation by the offense, then I should be able to know that, oh, we're going to the AP arrow on this one.
And that would be the signal you do? You do,
yeah,
jump ball?
Held ball.
Okay.
Jump ball is what we do to start the game. This is the held ball.
Held ball.
Perfect. Let's see if there's any other big ones on here. Everybody was all one or two after. Oh, here's another one. Last one, and then we'll try to jump into give you a little bit. Oh, it's going to be quick. B1 is in his front court, running to receive the throw in near the division line. B1 catches the throw in with his right foot in the front court and his left foot in the air. His left foot then lands in the back court. Has a backcourt violation occurred? This was another 50-50. Anybody remember if they got this right or wrong?
Missed it.
Yeah, you said no violation then, correct?
Right.
Because this is a backcourt violation. And the difference with this one is we know that there's an exception on a throw-in, but that exception deals with a player who is airborne. This player actually has 1 foot already on the ground when he catches the ball, so he's not airborne. So that means when he catches the ball with the foot in the front court, he has front court. The throw-in is ended and he has front court status.
Got it.
Which means the ball has it. So when he puts his left foot in backcourt, that's when the violation occurs. Different than if an airborne player catches it. And an airborne player could actually catch the ball, land with 1 foot in front court, land with the other foot in backcourt, and he's still good because he was an airborne player when he caught the ball. So they're allowed to make a normal landing, even if 1 foot hits the front court first and the other foot hits the backcourt first. How'd that sound? Did that make sense?
Yeah, that totally cleared that up.
Say, Mike, how about the one where you end up throwing a pass to yourself?
We never throw passes to ourselves. If we throw a pass to ourselves, that's called a dribble.
So how about number 8 then? I just want to verify something in my own mind.
Okay, let me pull up number 8. Let's see, where is that guy? All right, B5 makes a defensive rebound, turns and throws a pass towards B2. B2 is breaking down the floor and is unaware of the pass. B5 rushes after the errant pass, reaches for the ball with both hands, and starts to dribble down the floor. The official whistles B5 for an illegal dribble violation. Is this ruling correct? Oh, Steve, this is wrong. This is not a violation. So when they made the rebound and they threw the pass, they hadn't dribbled yet. B5 chases that errant pass, so I'm assuming it's hit the floor and reaches the ball with both, reaches the ball with both hands. That means he ended the dribble. So once he threw the pass, it hit the floor, nobody else touched it, and he grabbed it first. That is considered a dribble. So then he starts his dribble. That makes it an illegal dribble. Great question.
Oh,
So when you pass to yourself, it's always considered a dribble. So if he had dribbled, caught the ball with both hands, threw it to B2, B2 wasn't looking, and B5 went and grabbed it, violation. Because that was considered, the second part was considered a dribble as well.
So would the violation be a double dribble or a illegal dribble?
There is no such thing as double dribble. It's all illegal dribble.
Okay.
You will not find double dribble in the book. Okay. Well, we'll see how much of this little thing. We've got about 13 minutes to go over this guy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my problem is I like talking about the rules too much. So, night, kiddo. You getting ready for bed? Okay, give me a kiss.
Mommy was not so okay with this because they were
Yeah. Okay.
Mike, let me ask you another one. The
Yeah.
one regarding 3 seconds and the player exiting out of the lane via the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
From my knowledge, that would have been a technical foul a long time ago, but is it now or is it just 3 seconds or?
It's a violation. When you run out of bounds on purpose, it's considered a violation now.
Okay.
what would you call it?
You just hold your hand up for the boop and point like you're pointing out, it's out of bounds. I would point direction and then point the fact that the person ran out of bounds.
And how about the last one, Mike? The one about hitting the net. In my mind, I can just see someone grabbing the net and, causing, an interference call. But, a lot of times a head or an arm or shoulder might glance the net. And I've never seen anybody, call basket interference for kind of like insignificant contact with the net.
Well, there's knowing the rule and then applying the rule, right? Okay, so knowing that, right, contact with the net while the ball is on the rim or within the basket is technically a goal basket interference, but then applying it to what makes sense is part of the gig as well. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't want to.
Well, I
What's
guess
the question?
the
What's the
definition of
question
hits the net.
say? Well, it's not hit the net. It's touching the net, correct? Isn't that what the rule states?
I'm just reading the question, dude. The ball's on the ring of Team A's basket when A1 hits the net. Has
Correct.
caused interference, as basket interference occurred. I just want to say no. Like grabbing the net, I'd go, yeah, but.
No, but what's the rule say? Does the rule say grabbing the net or does the rule say contact the net, touching the net?
Yeah.
So that's what you kind of have to go by. Again, you want to do stuff that you can, tell the coach by rule is one of the best words that we can say. And we need to be able to say by rule and be correct.
Understood.
You can't tell a coach, I didn't call it because by rule he has to grab it. Yeah, that won't fly because, some of these coaches know it's not just grab.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, let me see. All right, I'm gonna see if I can share this video. Let's see, is it gonna let me share? Oh, you know what? Do I need you to share screen right here? Where's Safari? Oh, there it is. Perfect. All right, can you guys see this all right?
Yep.
I don't see the button to do the screen, so I'm just going to do it this way. All right, so what we're gonna, is there any other questions? We'll probably just kind of, we'll go through this the best we can. I know everybody's only planning on 6 to 7. So that's the problem when you get Mike Lloyd is Mike Lloyd likes to talk a lot. So I apologize, okay? You can tell Stacy, don't have him here. He speaks too much. So rule 10 is our big one. It talks about its fouls and penalties. I mean, this is where we find a lot of our information about technical fouls. We also find out information about contact, and there's also a good chart in the back that talks about how many free throws we shoot in particular different situations. The big thing with technical fouls is, other than double technical fouls, they're all 2 shots, and the team that shoots that got the last tee, in case you didn't shoot them right, they get the ball out of bounds. So team B coach gets a technical foul, followed by team A coach getting a technical foul. If you happen to shoot A's, then I'm saying this backwards. Team B head coach gets a technical, team A coach gets a technical afterwards, and we happen to shoot the free throws for team A's technical foul first, it still doesn't matter. We're going to give the ball to whoever got the last technical foul. The other team's going to get the ball. All technical fouls except indirect count towards the team fouls. Team members are disqualified after 2 tees. Head coach is ejected when they either get 2 direct technicals or a total of 3 direct or indirect. So let's say the assistant coach gets a technical foul. That's 1 indirect on the head coach. Let's say the head coach gets a technical foul. Well, that's 1 direct on the head coach. So he still has 1 more shot. So if either a player on the bench or the head coach gets another technical foul, they're ejected. But if a coach gets 2 directs, I give him the first one and my partner gives him the second one, they're ejected. All right. So the technicals, there's six sections on the technicals. Section 1 is just administrative technical. That's where you fail to supply a roster or starters before 10 minutes of the start of the game. It doesn't mean that everything has to be written in the scorebook. If somebody's given them the other scorebook or they've given them a piece of paper with everything written down, that's perfectly fine. But they have to do that before 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if they decide to add players or they change starter, that's another technical foul. So a team could actually get 1 before the 10-minute mark and 1 after the 10-minute mark. These do not count. These do not penalize the head coach or anything. These are failure to supply the roster and starters and then making any changes after the 10-minute mark. Any questions about that one? You guys may not see that for a little while, but these are important to know. And the truly important thing to know about technical fouls is understanding when a head coach gets penalized and when they don't. Section 1, administrative technical fouls, they are not penalized. Section 2 is team technicals, things like having more than five on the court, requesting an excessive timeout. Those are a couple of the team technical ones. Those do not go to any particular player or anything like that. Again, they just count as one of the team fouls, and we're going to let the other team shoot some free throws. Number 3 is the substitute technical foul. They come on the court without reporting to the table, or they fail to report to the scorekeeper, or they come onto the court before we've beckoned them. Those are the substitute technical fouls. And it's only one foul for either or. We're not going to get them for not only reporting, but for coming on before we beckoned them. No, we're not. We're just going to give them, that player only gets one technical foul. All right, they went to 5 next on this briefing. Team 5 is bench technical. This is something for anybody on the bench except the head coach. The head coach has their own little rules that they have to go by. We have commit an unsporting foul, enter the court unless we tell them to come on, stand in the bench area. There's like 5 reasons why they can stand, applaud a great play, greet a substitute, head to the table to be a substitute, things of that nature. And they can't leave the confines of a bench during a fight or when a fight may break out unless they're the head coach or assistant coaches, and they're out there to prevent. If they come out there and start participating in the melee, they're just as guilty, and it'll be a bench technical on him. And as it says here, this is an important one. If you give a bench technical, it's also an indirect to the head coach. And who can tell me why that's important to know that that's an indirect on the head coach? What happens
Because
when
if he gets 2, he gets tossed automatically.
Oops.
Is that right?
No. Because remember, I talked about he could actually get an indirect and a direct and still stay in the game. Oh, I just lost my screen share. No, what happens is when a coach gets an indirect technical foul, they no longer have the privilege of the coaching box. So that is an important one to know.
Does that mean they have to sit?
Yes. It means they can no longer stand and coach. There's a difference. People talk about the seatbelt rule. No, they don't have a seatbelt rule because there are times when they can get up. They can stand to call a timeout. They can stand during a timeout, greet a player, applaud a great play, go to the table to check for a correctable error. So there are times when they can stand, but they can't stand and coach anymore. So that's all I tell a coach. When we have an indirect or a direct tee on a coach, that's what I go tell them. Coach, you can no longer stand and coach. Quick story, a number of years ago at a state tournament, the player gave the coach of Franklin at the time, Jason Kerr, a technical foul, and then went over and told Coach Kerr that you now have to sit there only 5 times you can stand. What do you think Coach Kerr said? What are those 5 times? The official could only come up with 4. And it took 2 to 3 minutes to get this thing taken care of because a referee said too much. Coach, you can no longer stand and coach. That's all you got to say. Let them figure the rest of it out. Okay. Player 4, section 4 is all about the player tees. They can't change their number. They can't delay coming onto the court. You know, like they throw an inbound play from the left side of the lane line and then run all the way around to the right and come out by the 3-point line and catch a pass. That's a technical foul. Illegal contacting the backboard. That means intentionally striking it. If they're going up to try to make a block on a play and they contact the backboard, as long as you think they were making a legitimate attempt to block a shot, play on. Dunking a dead ball is a technical foul. Commit goaltending during a free throw. I've never seen that. And then reaching through the plane on a throw in and contacting the ball is also a technical foul. And that's a direct tee to the offender. Any questions about that? And then finally, we have the head coach's rule. You know, we allow them to stand in the coaching box. The coaching box is the 28-foot mark down to the end line. This tells you when the coach can stand. They can stand to request a timeout, check for a correctable error, replace or disqualified player. They have to replace or remove a disqualified. They have to replace the disqualified player within 15 seconds. If they don't, that's a direct tee on the head coach. They can't allow a team member to participate after being removed the game. So we sent somebody out for 5 fouls and the player comes back in. That's also a direct tee on the coach. If they have illegal uniforms, like let's say somebody's wearing a number 27 in a high school game, that's also a technical foul on the head coach. And they only get one. So if they have a 27 and a 72 and a 66, they still only get one tee, even though they have 3 illegal uniforms. Okay, and this is a direct tee on the head coach. And if you go to the back of Rule 10, you'll see the penalty summary, ball out of bounds, the nearest spot of the foul before we have bonus free throws. We're going to shoot bonus from 7 to 9, double bonus at 10 team fouls. And this is for a half. Somebody's fouled in the act of shooting. It's 2 shots or 3 shots if they're behind the 3-point line. If the basket's made, they get 1 free throw. 2 free throws for non-shooting intentional fouls. Could be 3 free throws if they intentionally foul a 3-point shooter and it doesn't go in. They get 2 free throws for a technical or flagrant foul. No free throws for player or team control. Very important to understand player control and team control, because unless it's the jump ball, a try, or a dead ball, there's always a team in control of the ball. Even if the ball is rolling loose on the floor, if it's not from a try, not a dead ball, and not the jump ball, there's a team in control of that ball. So if that team fouls, we want to make sure we don't shoot free throws. And then we don't shoot free throws for double fouls. All right, that's Rule 10 in a nutshell. Any questions about Rule 10? Again, this is an important one and it also talks about contact at the end of Rule 10. Section 7 is all about contact fouls. So, well, all the rules are good to know. Who am I going to kid? They're all important to know. But this is one where it can bite you in the butt if you don't handle these technical fouls correctly. Beautiful. Live ball and dead ball. There are 3 times when the ball becomes live. It becomes live when the toss ball leaves the official's hand, even though we're not doing jump balls right now. On a throw, when the ball's at the disposal of the thrower, either we've put it on the ground or we've bounced it or handed it to the player and they have it. Or on the free throw, same thing. I put it on the ground because the free throw shooter doesn't want to come in. Or once the free throw shooter catches it, the ball is now live. Very important to know live ball, dead ball. Then it talks about the jump ball administration. Like we said, the jump ball begins when the ball leaves the ref's hand. And then it tells you all the things that the people can't do until the ball's touched. Let me pull this down so I can Okay. And then it talks about what the jumpers can't do. They can't hit the ball before it reaches the peak. It's always good to practice our jump balls when you guys are first learning. Stand underneath of a basket and try to push the ball straight up through the basket. Should go 10, 10, 11 feet. Try to get it through the basket, have it come down. It's a good way to practice throwing a straight one. The jumpers can't leave the circle before the ball is touched. So somebody can't go running out to try to get it. They can't catch the ball before the jump ball ends, nor can they tap it more than twice. So those are all good things to know. And then it's important to know when the jump ball ends, and it ends when the ball touches a non-jumper, the official, the floor, or a basket or backboard, which I have never seen. And then it talks about the alternating possession arrow. It talks about when a held ball occurs, when the ball goes out simultaneously touched, when we have simultaneous or floor or free throw violations. A live ball lodges between the backboard and the ring, unless it's like we talked about earlier, it's a throw in. Opponents commit simultaneous basket interference violations. And then when we can't figure out what the call was, like we have it out of bounds and nobody knows, again, that's we do the alternating possession. Anything that's a double, like a double foul, double technicals, double free throw violations, anything like that, is we always go to the alternating possession arrow. And the alternating possession arrow should be kept at the table, and it always points the direction we're going to go. We don't want it pointing to a bench. We want it pointing, when I look at that arrow, if it's pointing that way, we're going that way. I don't care if it's first half or second half. Does that make sense? And then real important, dead ball. Ball becomes dead when the basket is made. When that ball goes through the basket, the ball is technically dead right now. And that means that's why either team can call a technical foul. And it becomes live again once that player gets control and is ready for the throw. And basically, once I start my count, that means the ball's live again. It remains dead after an unsuccessful free throw if it's the first of multiple free throws. It's going to be made, and once it's either made or missed, it's going to stay dead. If it's the last of the free throws and there are people on the lane line, then that ball is going to stay live if it's missed. And then certainly when time expires, the ball is dead unless there's a try in flight, whether it's a shot clock or a game ending. If the ball's in flight for a try, the ball's not dead yet till the try is over. And then when the official blows the whistle for a foul or violation, again, the ball is dead unless it involves a try that is in flight. And that's where you have to understand continuation and things like that. All right. Hey, you know what? That's the last little piece of this rule. I told Stacy I would get the attendance. So let me make sure I know who's all here for you guys. Let me stop sharing. Any questions? I don't know how much you guys have looked at those, looked at the rules or anything. Oh, Ken had to leave. Okay. But I would love to answer any questions or anything that you may have read in your going through the rule book that you might have. I guess that's going to be none.
I don't have any questions right now.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you, did you guys, so are there tests that Stacy's going to send out for you guys next, more tests? Like, have you done rule 6 and rule 10 already?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, sometimes it's hard to have questions until you actually go through those things. I'll tell you, the live ball, dead ball is important because One of the reasons why it's important involves correctable errors, because we have a specific time frame for correctable errors. Correctable errors is different than a scorekeeping mistake. As I said earlier, we can fix scorekeeping mistakes at any time, but correctable errors, there's only 5 correctable errors. 4 of them involve free throws, and we have to correct those before the ball becomes live a second time after the clock has started. So we have to make sure we understand when the ball's been live and when it's been dead, like the homemade basket. So let's say I call a foul on B1, it's team B's 7th, but we don't get told that, and we put the ball in play. Team A has the ball, they shoot the ball goes in. We have to correct that error that the team should have shot free throws before team B gets the ball for that throw in. Once team B gets the ball for the throw in, the balls become live a second time after the clock has started. Too late to correct it. Let's say we have team A, team A is supposed to shoot the free throws. They get the ball instead for the throw and they shoot, miss. Team B gets it. They go down, shoot, miss. Team A goes down, shoots, miss. Finally, team B goes down, shoots, and makes it. Horn, you can still correct that because the ball hasn't come live after that's the first time the ball became dead. Even though we had all this switching back and forth of who had the ball never became dead until the ball went through the basket. So I've actually had a situation where near the end of the first half, we had a foul. We weren't told it was 1-1. We gave the ball to the team. The team actually scored a 3 at the buzzer. Team A scored a 3 at the buzzer. We came out of the locker room with 3 minutes, left in the intermission, and the table says, hey, by the way, that last foul on team B was their 7th foul. We should have shot free throws. Well, guess what? That was actually still correctable because the first dead ball after the error was actually the halftime intermission. So the ball hadn't become live yet. So we actually corrected the error. So the team benefited because they got a 3-point at the end of the half, plus they got 2 free throws, which is why you don't want to have double errors. Okay, Antonio, hold on, let me get everybody. Matt Preston, Robert Sharp. Antonio, what's your last name?
Folks, Fowlkes.
Beautiful. And Jonathan Clapper. And Carrie Bannister. And who's D? Oh, is that Dove Keith?
Davi Keith, yeah.
Davi Keith, gotcha. And Kiri. Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your Monday night and coming and listening to me talk. I love officiating. I love being part of it. I love the camaraderie and things like that. And I hope to be able to, see you guys on a court here in the near future. I know we're all dealing with some, the uniqueness of the situation we're in, and, hopefully things get back to normal and we get to continue to call basketball, this summer and get back to fall and see what happens. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to try to learn the best that we can. It's got to get out on the court and doing it's going to be the big thing to apply. But if you ever have any kind of rule test questions, like once you go through this training and you get to be a member of the PMBOA and you go in and take the WOA certification test, I'm one of the guys that helps write that thing. So if you ever have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help you the best I can.
All right.
Well, so when you say help us, that means that just get a hold of you and you'll send the answers, or?
No, I'll help you understand why the answer is what it is. How's that?
Understood, man. Thank you for your.
And if you truly, if you ever call with a rule question, I love it if you have your rule book handy too, because that's the way we learn, is by looking in the rule book. I will say if you get the ebooks, it actually kind of takes away because you can do the whole search thing and find words and look it up that way. Whereas this, you got to like thumb through it to find, okay, where the heck's that answer about what basket interference is and stuff. So you look up one rule and you learn 3 more while you're looking it up. So it's truly our Bible. It is not made out of stone. It is made out of paper. So there's some there's a flexibility with it, depending on what's going on. But we need to know this thing black and white before we can apply the gray.
Hey, could I ask how often is it updated? And like with soccer, I know yearly they have a rule review and there's new rules every year.
Yep.
What's it like for basketball?
Exact same thing. I mean, NFHS has to get their money, so they do rule changes every year. And, we get new rule books. We have the statewide test you have to take and the clinic and all that other stuff. So, yep, every year we change 10 questions out of the quiz from the previous season and try to adjust things like the points of emphasis and things like that. So, yeah, very, very similar. And you'll have people, do study groups and people will get together with the state test and go over it together. It's an open book test, but it doesn't hurt getting a little peer group together and because all this depends on your goals. Some people they just want to work as many games as possible, make money and things like that. Whereas some people, hey, I want to be a varsity official, or I want to be a state tournament official, or I want to be a college official, D1, MBA. I mean, you put the effort in for whatever your goal is going to be in this avocation. But I'll tell you what, it's a disease. Once you go out there and start blowing your whistle, and you're going to be like, crap, man, this is fun. This is good. So be ready to be a widow. Your wife will be a widow when it comes to it. But it's a great way to stay with the game. Did you guys all play ball back in the day?
Definitely.
Definitely. Where'd you play at?
I played Renton High School. I played a lot of AAU for like Friends of Hoop and Seattle Rotary and like RSB and clubs like that.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's right. So you have a great exposure to the game. But see, now the difference is you're going to learn the rules and you're going to learn that, holy crap, man, I was yelling at the ref and I shouldn't have been yelling because
I already went through that, man. Literally, I was like, man, I was yelling at people who wasn't even in their position to even make calls.
Well, awesome. Well, hey, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll make sure I let Stacy know that you all attended the meeting.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Take it easy. Have a good night, everybody.